Welcome back, Beans Army, to another episode of the Less is More Sports Podcast, the college offseason podcast, where you could say we're less of the regular season, but more of the offseason. I'm going to tell you guys something. I had no idea how much I needed a Morgan Wallen and Moneybag collab. All I got to say is that Whiskey Whiskey song is a banger. But I don't know, Matt, is this another one of my terrible music takes?
I've never heard that song, so I won't render judgment until I listen to it.
You need to listen to it right after the show.
But you have to be okay with the results either way because I might be in a bad mood. I don't know.
That song will put you in a good mood, I promise you. Ryan, what are
Okay.
your thoughts? Is this another one of my bad music takes?
I haven't heard the song either, but I really like Morgan Wallen. I'm a big fan of his. I'm a big fan of, like his songs, like how he throws chairs and
But is he
yeah.
Bob Knight?
What?
He throws chairs. Is he Bob Knight?
He might be. Well, Bob Knight didn't throw a chair off the balcony, but it's close enough. They're about the same. They're in the same thing.
Morgan Wallen is the reincarnation of Bob Knight.
Yeah.
That's
the
what I'm getting out
hottest
of
thing
this.
on this podcast. We're done. That's the whole thing. Bye, everybody.
But how that ties into today's episode is much like I didn't know that I needed that collaboration. College football fans across the country didn't know how much they needed performances from these players. So, Matt, how does this tie into what we're talking about today?
Well, folks, it's one of those patented less is more drafting listing episodes. Ryan and Les have both come up with 5 different players that they think are going to break out this season, and they're going to tell us about it while I try to keep my eyes from rolling into the back of my head. Because I have a feeling you guessed where Ryan and Les are going to get some of their list from. I'm not saying that they'll have certain schools that they really like, but I'm implying it heavily.
I don't
Hold
what
on.
do you I don't know what do you mean by that?
Oh, I think the audience knows.
So I made sure to include plenty of players that do not attend Duke or Texas.
Well, the fun fact is, when Les first submitted his list, it was just Ashton Genty's name 5 times in a row.
Okay, now he's capping. He is straight capping now.
That's why I'm wearing my
Actually,
captain.
it was Ollie Gordon, to be honest.
Ooh.
Yes, that's his number one. Spoiler, that's Les's number one.
But hold on, I have a question for both of y'all. Raise your hand if you're ready for college football.
Is my hand visible?
My hand is raised.
Now
My
raise
hand
your
is
hand
also raised.
if you're really raise your hand if you're ready for college football 25.
Just me and Ryan. Just
No.
me and Ryan. Matt
You and
said
Ryan, you guys are
FUEA
alone in
Sports
that.
after no mascot mode.
Yes, I'm still pissed.
Matt went on one of the most historic rants at the beginning of one of our episodes once he found out that there was going to be no mascot mode. You sicken me, EA Sports.
You are no longer
legends are made of.
It's a disgusting thing that they've cut out mascot mode. And on the eve of having possibly 134 mascots, we're mascotless. And it's a damn disgrace, EA Sports. You make people pay all the time for add-ons and bonuses. You're a meme on Twitter. And you can't even make mascot mode one of your precious add-on buyable 1995 packages. Just stop it. Stop it. You're straight capping. You not like us. You're all the things that Les uses when he's mad at me. You are all those words, EA Sports, because I can't play as Big Red and beat up the Notre Dame Leprechaun. That's all I got to say.
I do want to point out that the mascots are in the game. You just can't play with them.
Yeah, which makes it even worse. It's teasing.
You can see him on the side.
I would say I see Bevo and the Blue Devil just fine. At least I saw it in the trailer.
Now, imagine if that Bevo was charging the Blue Devil. Wouldn't that be so much cooler?
That'd be a conflict of interest for me, though. Because
Yes,
I don't.
The epic struggle between man and bull has long been documented by people, Les. Come on.
Is it, though? Is it really a struggle, though? Because I feel like people in Spain would disagree with that statement, but.
I don't know. The bullfighter doesn't always win, you know.
Just most of the time. Is what it seems like. I don't know.
Most of the time, but not all the time.
Hey, speaking of which, Do what?
All right, go on, Les.
Oh, I was just gonna say, speaking of bullfighters, I know you all seen the movie Hustle on Netflix with Adam Sandler and of course Juan Honcho Hernan Gomez and Anthony Edwards and all them. That's like one of my favorite parts of that movie is like when Anthony Edwards is trash talking Juancho and he's just like, "Yo, you're from Spain. Well, I'm the dude with the red cape and you the bull, and you gonna be running circles around, and we have you running in circles." That is one of the best moments of the movie.
Anthony Edwards
Yes, it is true.
his part so well in that movie.
Anthony Edwards deserves an Oscar for that movie.
Okay,
Like,
let me not an Oscar, but he deserves recognition.
no, he
I think
deserves
that
an Oscar. The same way that Leonardo DiCaprio deserved his first Oscar for Wolf of Wall Street. That is my hot movie take of the day, and I will die on that hill.
my hottest movie take is that we should have nominated Donald Sutherland, rest in peace, this week, at least once for being in one of those great movies. I couldn't believe that when I read it after I read about his passing. He wasn't nominated for anything. That just seems like a travesty given the way that guy could act. So that's my hot take, I guess.
Who is Donald Sutherland?
Dear God, Les. Dear God.
I'm in the same boat.
Uh,
I don't know who he is.
oh, bye, everybody. Forget the list. I'm leaving. It doesn't work when there's a green screen on. I guess.
Oh, that guy. Oh, okay, I know who that is now.
Take a picture.
I
Is your
just
back-
Googled him. I never knew his name. I know who he is now.
He's very recognizable. Yes, he usually plays like erudite, very intense characters, and that's what I love about him. So, and one of the greatest Simpsons guest spots of all time. So,
Matt, is your background taking a picture from your phone?
yes.
It's very pixelated.
Oh no. Oh well.
No, it just looks like a normal picture of like I could walk down to a creek and just snap a photo and then upload
This
it.
was actually taken. Hold on, let me cover it. This photo was actually taken in West Virginia. I was at the
Oh,
New
now it
River
looks
Gorge.
good. Maybe it was just my
Yeah,
signal.
I was at the New River Gorge National Park, and there's a lot of gorgeous rivers there. So that's from West Virginia.
I just figured it was taken from like you would take the picture.
Creeks are creeks. We
I had
love
a
our
creek.
biomes.
I had a
We
creek
love
in my
our biomes
backyard.
here in the-
You ever swim in it?
No, because actually there's bacteria in there that would cause intestinal diseases. So no. But there
Brain
was
eating.
there was a turtle in there that could literally pass for Gamera.
Did you sing to it?
Bro, I've never knew a turtle could roar until I poked it with a stick and it roared at me.
Oh my gosh.
I
that
never
must've been
ran up a
song.
hill so fast in my life.
Yeah. Poor Les. I thought Gamera was supposed to be a friend. Well, you're not a child, so that's
I would
probably
say
why.
Gamera likes them
Gamera is
kids a little too much.
Baragon is going to come and now take care of you too.
Gamera is not like us.
Gamera is not even like Godzilla because I don't know if
Exactly.
Godzilla is a friend to the children either. But
I don't think Godzilla likes anybody, really. No, not except Mothra.
except Mothra, that's his secret. That's his OTP, his one true pair right there.
That's a
All right,
side piece.
so who's going first on our?
You're leading the
less-
show. You tell us who is going
All
first.
right.
We're
Well,
starting
I
at
have
5, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Well, I have flipped a coin, and it looks like that Ryan will be receiving the kick to start this top 5 list.
I say this is rigged because we didn't see the coin flip.
I don't think you have a coin.
I flipped the coin in my head. Okay.
That doesn't count.
Anyway, Ryan,
Conflict of interest.
you get the ball first. So, who is your number 5 breakout player for the college football 2024 season?
So, as he said, my number 5 breakout player is Justice Haynes from a running back from Alabama. I love his body build as a running back. He's about 5'11", 205. He kind of looks a little bit like Najee Harris with the same number if you look at it, or if you like look at pictures of him, just his
Mhm.
body build, kind of smaller guy, but big and muscular. That sounds weird. But you know, he he's kind of in a good young running back room at Alabama. You know, they have Richard Young, Roydell Williams. Um, he I forgot what his stats were, but it was about like 100 or 200 yards, 2 touchdowns against Chattanooga. But I think that he could have a good breakout year, just for the way his fundamentals are and the way he's built as a running back, I think that he could be a great addition in that high-powered Alabama offense. Um, you know, Alabama will be it will look a little bit different this year than we've seen in past just with Kalen DeBoer as their head coach, but he is my number 5 breakout player, running back from Alabama, Justice Haynes.
All right, that's a great pick. And so now we'll head from the home of the meteorite that struck Ann Hodges in 1952. Yes, that's right. A meteorite actually struck a human being. She got to be on several game shows before her 15 minutes of fame wore out. But the meteorite still resides in Tuscaloosa in the Alabama Museum of Natural History. And now for Les's number 5, we're going to go take a visit to a familiar face along the Atlantic coast. Les, who's your number 5 breakout candidate for 2024?
So this doesn't bode well for what I told Matt at the beginning of the show, that I don't have very many players from my teams, because my number 5 is a Duke Blue Devil. And you got to love when one of your players transfers from one of your favorite teams to the other. And so coming into my number 5 is Malik Murphy, the new quarterback at Duke. And obviously, Malik Murphy got stuck behind a loaded quarterback room at Texas, and now he's getting to be QB1 for the new coaching era in Duke. And we're going to see exactly why Malik Murphy was a highly touted quarterback prospect coming out of high school. I mean, the dude is just built like a demigod with a rocket attached to his arm. Not to mention, if the spring game is any indication of what kind of offense they're going to be running, dude's going to be slinging it under those Wallace Wade Stadium lights. So coming in at my number 5 is Malik Murphy, the quarterback of Duke.
All right. A predictable but very solid pick from Mr. Les Abbott.
I do want to add that not all of my picks are this predictable, but this one.
They're not. They're not. I just have to give him shit for the ones that are, because that's our dynamic and it's fun.
Oh, that's expected.
me.
I'd be very
Okay,
sad if
cool.
you didn't give me shit.
I know. And so now we're going to head from Tobacco Road to Columbus, Ohio, home of the Wow signal from 1977, which, if you don't know, may be one of our best chances to discover extraterrestrial life, to a guy who hopes to wow some fans, coaches, and opposing players on the field for Ryan's number 4 pick for a breakout candidate. Take it away, Ryan.
I wanna say this before I give my pick. I don't know if you can see my name, but my name is Brent Variables. We will tell you what that means later. But for my number 4, I have wide receiver at Ohio State, Carnell Tate. The leader of that room is Emeka Egbuka, and the guy that everyone is paying attention to is Jeremiah Smith, the number 1 prospect, 5-star wide receiver. But I feel like Carnell Tate is kind of being hidden in the dust in this wide receiver room. That's may not be the best this year, but it's still very solid room this year. Um, he was a 5-star guy from Chicago, Illinois. He's used to the cold in Columbus now. Uh, Marv said that Maserati Marv, like Les would say, or Gus Johnson, um, said that Carnell was better at his age than Marv was at Carnell's age, if that makes sense. I don't know if I just confused that for you all. But, you know, he had a solid freshman year with a loaded receiver room, and I think that he will take a big next step. He's been working, um, putting the work in the off season, and he made some great catches in some tough spots last year. And I think it only his potential rises to the roof this year, and I think he'll have a great year. That is my number 4, Carnell Tate, wide receiver, Ohio State.
I really like that one too, because, like you said, Ohio State just has such a high-powered offense that somebody is gonna have to be unguarded. That's just You just don't have enough guys on the field to guard one, and why not Carnell Tate? And so now we'll head from the Horseshoe to the place which boasts the only monument in the United States to Soviet soldiers who died in World War II for Les's number 4 pick. Take it away, Les. What do you have for us?
Before I give you my number 4 pick, I do want to say a couple things. Number 1, I'm a little butthurt that Matt didn't call Ryan a homer after that one, but yet I get all the homer shade in the world. That's
You have
totally
to
not
wait.
fair, brother.
You must patience, grasshopper. You have to wait.
I'm trying to be patient here, but it's getting kind of hard. And number two, I just want to say thank you very much, Ryan, for mentioning me in the same breath as a legend like Gus Johnson. It makes my heart feel really well and my head even bigger. So, anyways, coming in at my number four spot, I have Zachariah Branch, wide receiver out of USC, kind of keeping with that wide receiver trend here. As a freshman, in my opinion, he was already the most electric skill position on the team. Now that Dorian Singer and Brennan Rice are gone, I think he gets even more targets. Plus, with Marshawn Lloyd gone in the backfield, Woody Marks has yet to be proven as that workhorse back. And I think USC and Miller Moss just sling it out. So that's going to lead to more touches for Zach Branch, and get your popcorn ready because it's going to be a show.
The big something we may get into a little bit later, though, is while the USC offense is going to be electric this year, their defense, they may give it right back. So it'll be
They're in some hot water right now. Let's be real about
they're
it.
in a little bit of a hot water. The hot tub is at least on broil right now for them. So
Bro,
we may get into that.
hold on real quick, man. I do have one thing to interject real. Is
Go
it
ahead.
is it fair to say that the new defensive coordinator for USC is kind of living an Oprah show right now? You get a decommitment. You get a decommitment. You
Yep.
get a decommitment because that D line is just gone, bro.
That D line is completely decimated. It's like the anti Great Wall. It's like I don't know what else it would be. It's not even like it's like the meme of that dude at the sporting event who just goes like this with his hands instead of using the metal detector. I have a feeling that's what USC's defensive line could look like next year. And it'll be interesting to see if Zach Branch can find a way to outscore those opponents. So, a solid pick for lesson number 4. And now we're heading back up north to to where the final resting place of Regis Philbin is located, believe it or not, for Ryan's number 3 pick. So Ryan, what surprise do you have for us at number three on our breakout candidates list?
Well, with my number 3 pick, this is a guy that you could kind of make an argument that he already broke out. He did suffer an injury, but I still think that there's another level to his game, and that is Mitchell Evans, tight end from Notre Dame. I really like his game. Uh, the guy that left 2 years ago, Michael Mayer. He's a great tight end from Notre Dame. Um, I think Mitchell Evans could be the great tight end from Notre Dame that we've seen before. He had 29 receptions, 422 yards, and only one touchdown. But that was right before he tore his ACL, which is a huge injury. Um, now they have Riley Leonard. They're I feel like not a lot of people are talking about Notre Dame right now. That could be a very solid team. I think that um, I'm a big believer when they get in the playoffs, they just choke. But uh, I'm just not very high on Notre Dame in the playoffs. But I think that they could be still a very, very solid team. You know, was it year 3 or 4 under Marcus Freeman?
I think it's year
Um,
3.
yeah, I think so.
Three. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. But I'm really high on Mitchell Evans, just his impact in the game and blocking and receiving. I think that he could be a really, really one of the best tight ends in college football next year, and he is my number 3 pick, Mitchell Evans, tight end from Notre Dame.
I think that's a solid pick just going on the pedigree alone of what Notre Dame is capable of with their tight ends. It feels like every year they've got a top 16 pick, which I guess would kind of be the NFL lottery, going in those positions. And why not add to that legacy if you are Mitchell Evans? And so now we take a short drive up north to the home of a large mural to the film Singing in the Rain for Les's number three pick, which comes from the Big House. So let us know your number 3 pick because we're dying to hear it.
Coming in at my number 3 pick, representing that team up north, like Ryan and other Ohio State fans would refer to him, is TJ Guy, an edge from Michigan. And from what I've been hearing, dude's been making a lot of noise this spring up in Ann Arbor. Hasn't seen the field like hardly at all in his 4-year career. But with most of the natty defense off to the pros, it's his time to shine. Let's be honest. Plus, I've been hearing from other experts that Michigan's defense could be even more physical this year, which is kind of hard to believe. And if they are, he's going to need to play a big part in that. So coming into my number 3 is TJ Guy, the edge out of Michigan.
All right, that's going to be an interesting pick too, because like you said, that defense and overall that team of Michigan, they've lost so much. They're going to need some guys to step in, but winning a national championship is always a great recruiting tool. And now let's head to the West Coast for an extended period of time where we'll probably spend about 5 minutes talking about one of the Big Ten's newest members, starting with Ryan's number 2 overall pick. Ryan, what do you have for us?
My number 2 pick is Mateo Uyunglele, freshman last year, now coming into sophomore seasons. Obviously, you heard that last name. You know he's DJ Uyunglele's brother, who's the quarterback at Florida State. Um, but I really like Mateo's game. He's a big edge rusher, kind of linebacker, 6'5", 270. He had 9 solo tackles, 2 sacks. Uh, but he was just a freshman he was just a freshman on that team, and he's from St. John Bosco, who's now one of the biggest high school football teams now, along with modern day stuff like that. But I think that he will take a huge step next year in Oregon's defense. He will be a wrecking ball in that Oregon defense at the linebacker edge. I think he played both positions. But he reminds me a lot of Noah Sewell, who played a couple years ago and now is on the Bears on that Oregon team. Now stepping into the Big Ten, I think they'll need that toughness. I think he's got it, and I think that he will have a breakout year for Mateo Uyunglele, linebacker slash edge.
Well, this is where I'd say something witty about where we're going next, but we're actually not going anywhere. But we can take a day trip to the world's tallest fork as of 2022. So we could do that, but less. Your number 2 also hits very close to home because I believe this player is also a duck.
He is coming in at my number 2 spot, much like Ryan said about Notre Dame having always that stud tight end. Oregon just always seems to have that stud running back. And coming in at my number 2 is Jordan James, the running back out of Oregon. Look, Bucky Irving's gone, and James averaged 7 yards a carry last year. Now he's got the keys to the backfield. Plus, he plays for a coach that emphasizes recruiting on the offensive line, and he's now going to the ground and pound league in the Big Ten. James could be that next stud duck to come out of Oregon from the backfield.
I love how you said stud duck. There's something about it that just rolls off the tongue.
Just rolls off the tongue, stud duck.
Just rolls off. You are a stud duck, good sir. I mean,
That
that's a
should be
lot
the
of
new
fun.
catchphrase of the show, the stud ducks.
The stud duck. You are a stud duck. Somebody has a great take. That's a stud duck. I like where this is going. I like where this is going. This
So
is
I think
new
it's time
lingo.
for Ryan to get into his number 1 stud duck.
Yes, Ryan. Well, before we do that, Ryan, we're going back somewhere for
Hold
this
on.
one, so we're gonna hold off my comment
Ryan
until
has
Ryan gets
has
to
something
number
to
one.
say. Pause, sir, before he gets into his
Sorry. My number 1 is a stud buck.
Ooh.
Hi-yo! That was a
Ooh.
good one. That was a good one.
But Matt, did you have any more to say?
No, I'm gonna save it for when you finish.
He
Okay.
should. He should. Matt.
I'll just wait.
Okay. I'm trying to be patient like you told me.
My number 1 stud buck is, this is like I said about Mitchell Evans. This is another guy that you could argue has already had a breakout season. But in my opinion, I think that just because how excited Buckeye fans were when he came into Ohio State, I think that he has another level to his game. And I've seen it before. He showed it a little bit in the Missouri game. I am talking about defensive end from Ohio State, Jack Sawyer. Uh, you know, he had an all right year last year, but I think that he just he has so much more potential that he could show. Him and JT Tuimoloau, you know, if they could break out this season and prove that they're one of the best defensive line groups in the country. Jack was a 5-star top 10 recruit in that 2021 class, I think. Um, but you know, I just think that there's something more to his game, and I think he's been working. I've heard that he's been working a lot in the off season to prove that he will be dominant with his technique and his power. Um, but yeah, I think that he will have a breakout year, and we really need it from our defensive line. But my number one is Jack Sawyer, defensive end from Ohio State.
Folks, I'm going to do something unprecedented in the history of this podcast right now. And it pains me to do so, but I must, which is, Les, I'm sorry I accused you of being a homer, because the true homer was hiding under my nose the whole time. You bookend the list with two guys from Ohio State. After going to the spring game, going to the horseshoe, oh, Ryan, you disappoint me.
Just wait for
Ryan,
Les's number one.
oh, right. We'll get to that. But Ryan, right now, I'm disappointed in you. But as Ryan said, we're going back down south for Les's number one pick in the 2024 breakout player list. We're going to the resting place of the Minnesota Iceman in the Museum of the Weird there for a player that Les is obviously hoping is cooler than being cool this season. So, Les, why don't you introduce us to your number one breakout player?
My number one breakout player is cooler than being cool. He's ice cold. Ayo. But I also want to say, Ryan, that I didn't end my list with two players from my favorite teams. I at least split them up pretty evenly. So I think that's a big difference there, sir.
Mine's 1 and 4.
Wait, I thought you went with two. I thought you went 2-1 with Ohio State. That's right.
No, Carnell Tate's 4 and 1 is Jack Sawyer. 2 is Mute. I'm not an Oregon fan.
Look, anyways, I only needed one semester of math in college. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. But coming in at my number one is Anthony Hill, linebacker out of Texas. And believe it or not, the year Arch Manning committed to Texas, this was the recruit that I was the most excited about. No shade at Arch, but there's always some certain uncertainties, if you will, that come with quarterback prospects. With Hill, this dude reminds me so much of Micah Parsons. And what I mean by that is the versatility that this dude plays with. Parsons is making a name for himself in Dallas playing as the edge rusher, but majority of his college career was the inside linebacker at Penn State. Hill has that same level of versatility. He played off the edge a lot his freshman year, but now with Jalen Ford gone, he's going to move to his more natural position as the inside linebacker. And I'm going to tell you, this dude is an absolute stud, a stud duck, if you will. But year two, Hill's about to go crazy because this is, in my opinion, one of the more talented players on the roster. That's along with Kelvin Banks. That's along with Quinn Ewers. Anthony Hill is that next great linebacker to come out of Texas. Hook 'em horns, baby.
As homery as that take was, if there's anybody who I believe knows stuff about what's going on in Texas, it's probably the Longhorn Network. And not Les. I'm kidding. That was mean. I do believe Les when he tells me stuff like this. We've got about 8 minutes to go in this edition of the Less is More Sports podcast. It's flown by. But before we move on to my assorted bag of random mid-major guys, how about you guys list your top five again for everybody listening at home? Let's have Ryan go first.
Uh, my number, just like the whole thing.
Yes.
Yeah, just look at the whole list.
Number 5 was Justice Haynes. Number 4 was Carnell Tate. Number 3 was Mitchell Evans. Number 2 is Mateo Uyangale, and number 1 was Jack Sawyer.
And Les?
My number 5 was Malik Murphy, quarterback out of Duke. Number 4 was Zach Branch, wide receiver out of USC. Number 3 was TJ Guy, the edge out of Michigan. Number 2 is Jordan James, running back for Oregon. And number 1 is Anthony Hill, linebacker at Texas.
And for me, because I actually wanted to prove I did some research for this episode, 3 guys who I'm looking out for next season: Caden Veltkamp, quarterback of Western Kentucky. Much as we've talked about with stereotypes and positional groups in our draft, if you'll remember long ago, Les and I did a college player fantasy draft episode where literally everyone I drafted got injured. But I did mention before that the guys who put up the big stud numbers at these levels are the dudes from like Western Kentucky and UTSA. And I think Caden Veltkamp is the next in line from Western Kentucky, keeping that Brandon Dotery, Alex Reed line going. He's going to be pretty darn good. My next player is Terrion Stewart, the running back out of Bowling Green. He missed the last 4 games of last season with an injury, but he's back now healthy. And we all know how great Maction is and how smash mouth that can be. I think this guy's going to have a breakout year, and you may see him on your team's draft boards going forward. And finally, I have SMU pass rusher Elijah Roberts. This guy's a beast. He's going to break out very shortly, I think. SMU is kind of quietly an underrated team, in my opinion. But, don't expect them to make the playoffs or anything. They're in a new conference. They're going to want to make an impact. And Elijah Roberts is a big physical defensive end who's going to make that even more possible. And so, with that player named, we've concluded picking the top 5 breakout players for the 2024 college football season. But a question for the fans at home to ponder. I don't know if it's called franchise mode or if it's rebuild mode or dynasty mode, I think is actually what it's called. But if you were playing on dynasty mode and could have any group of players you want, would you take Les or Ryan's team? So think about that at home. It could be on the poll a little bit later, so keep your eyes out on social media for that. And that concludes our player draft. But Ryan mentioned something a little bit earlier that was a lot of fun for us yesterday, which is Brent Venables gets a contract extension with the Oklahoma Boomer Sooners. Did he deserve it? Les, you go first.
Absolutely not.
That's all Les has to say, folks.
That is all I need to say.
All right, Ryan, what about you? What do you feel about this?
So, I will actually explain because I'm not in the Red River Showdown, like less kind of, or not kind of, less is, but no, I can't think of a single thing that he's done at Oklahoma to deserve that contract. If he actually did something like made the playoffs or won the Big 12 championship, blah blah blah, um, then I would make an argument that he deserves it. But no, he doesn't deserve it yet, and it was kind of wasted money by Oklahoma. And it's another thing that Texas fans or whoever, maybe Oklahoma State, can make fun of Oklahoma. So, and I don't really know how I feel about Oklahoma this year. New quarterback, um, Jackson Arnold. I don't really know. I don't know how they will be, but
He's an elite prospect. I will say that much because,
Yeah,
I'm
he is.
big into recruiting scene and all that. And that's kind of my niche on the show is being the quote unquote recruiting expert, even though that's kind of a self-proclaimed title. Jackson Arnold is one of the more talented quarterbacks from the same class that produced Arch Manning, Nico Imaleva, and all them.
Yeah,
DeAndre Moore was a part of that class too, as well, and a couple other studs were in that class. But Jackson Arnold is as talented as any of them. But it wasn't really the best showing later on in the season when Dylan Gabriel sat out for the bowl game. But it's his first college game, first official start, I should say. I mean,
Yep.
you got to take those with a grain of salt. So I mean, even though I am on the better side of the Red River rivalry, I do got to call a spade a spade. I'm not going to say the dude's trash until we get a full look at how he performs at the full collegiate level.
and I think that the Red River Showdown is the same week as Oregon Ohio State, so that'd be a pretty loaded week with college football games.
Sounds like I'm going to have to have a split screen when I watch.
Yeah,
Oh boy, he's gonna have some
Well-
fun with that.
ours might be a night game. I think so because Joe Klatt was like, "Yeah, we're not covering that game, so it could be a night game or 3:30. I'm not sure."
You're gonna be on the Big Ten on CBS, which still feels morally wrong. I'm sorry, it's just
Well,
wrong.
yeah, because first game of the year last year was Indiana Ohio State on CBS.
Remember
With
how
it-
much fun that game was? Ohio State's quarterback was bad. Indiana's bad in general. Nobody could score.
I went to the game and had to hear it from every single Indiana fan that I've ever known. But I saw Mike Woodson. He was like 5 feet away from me, so that was pretty cool. But
You could touch the top of his bald head and be healed.
yeah, it blinded me.
It was
Rub it for
blinding.
good. Hey, rub it for good luck.
All I can think of is that scene from the SpongeBob movie. Bald, bald, bald. And the guy goes, "My eyes, my
Again with the
eyes."
SpongeBob references.
There's always a SpongeBob reference, Les. There's always a SpongeBob reference.
Anything you can think of, there's a SpongeBob reference for that.
Imagination.
But-
Imagination.
The reason the reason my name is Brent Variables is because I said the news about him getting that contract in the group chat with us, and you all just kept like saying different names. He didn't
I think
have enough variables to deserve that.
we
He
called
didn't
him
have
Brett
enough.
Mittables, Brett Edibles. It was a great time for all. If anybody ever saw our group chats, they'd know just how little insane preparation goes into this show. But if you enjoyed this show, here's what you have to do, or what you should be doing, which is like this podcast, get on Spotify, listen to it, share it to your friends, go to our YouTube channel, like us, subscribe there, smash that subscribe button if you must. We're on Spotify. Les is all over social media. We're on Threads at Less is More Sports. We're on Twitter, Less is More Sports. We'll have some polls there for you. So if you like this podcast, be sure to track us down on social media and listen to us on Spotify. Share it with your friends and have fun with it, because Lord knows we have too much fun with this podcast.
You
So
know,
yeah,
you can. There's so many things you could be doing while listening to this podcast. You can be walking your dog. You can play Madden. You can, um, you can study and listen to this podcast.
You could even watch Sion James dominate in the first Duke scrimmage on YouTube, which is why my name is Sion James Stan account.
or you could watch Les play on rookie mode on Madden.
I don't play on rookie. Hell no.
I
Would
beat
you
don't.
I beat
disrespect me
Les
like that? I'll let you
436
call me
to
a homer. You ain't gonna
7.
disrespect me like that. Hell
That's
no.
how